Yo fam, welcome to Let's Go with Nick Pags, the series that's intended to educate, motivate, and inspire you to create dynamic change in your life by challenging your regular ways of thinking and your automatic doing. The stuff that you're just doing because you're doing it and you're not really paying attention to it. This series wants to check on those, to ask you, can you be more, do more, and create more in your life? So I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for your time and attention. And if you're digging it, please rate, subscribe, share, all the good things. And if you're not, please do not tell anybody about it. Keep it to yourself. You can also keep up with me on Instagram at NickPagsFit. I hope you enjoy the show. Let's go. What's up, fam? We are back, baby. We are back with another episode of Let's Go. It's your boy, Nick Pags. And I'm really excited today because I got an incredible conversation with an incredible man, someone super inspiring. He is in the fitness industry, but he's way more than that. It's a whole new level of powerful, of insightful wisdom. I'm going to read you a quote that just kind of it's his quote, that puts this whole podcast into perspective. His quote is, "Make gratitude the most important meal of every day." And that's what you're going to experience today. Different techniques and tactics on how to access gratitude, how to use it as a platform and a foundation for your life. This podcast is filled with beauty, commitment, honor, integrity, and just authenticity from this man. So without further ado, enjoy this incredible podcast, this super exciting episode of Let's Go. What's up, fam? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Go. I got a very special guest today, my man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Noah Shaw.
Far from legendary. just happy to be here. Thank you, Nick, for the invite.
I'm so excited. I want to give you guys a quick lowdown on how this all came about. I'm a Lululemon ambassador. This man right here is a Lululemon ambassador. I went to a speaking engagement. Actually, before that, we had ambassador onboarding.
Yes.
So we had an onboarding session for Lululemon. Noah was there. I was there. They were doing, when like somebody says stand up and it's like, let's have somebody stand up and talk about X, Y, and Z, and nobody stands up because they're nervous, right? And that's where I like to grab a microphone and jump in.
You and I would spoke every time.
Yep. So I remember I stood up and I introduced what I was there to do today, where my intention was set, blah, blah, blah. And right after me, bam, Noah goes, well, I was not in the mood to be here today, but I'm here, and Nick, thanks for jumping in and let's do this thing. And that was the first time I was like, this dude's awesome and I'm excited to get to know you. And then I went to his speaking engagement at Soho Loft, Lululemon, and he talked about gratitude. And that's going to be our topic today because I was blown away. So if you listen to my podcast often, it's something I talk about on a regular basis is gratitude. So that's what I want to dive into today and have that conversation. I'm going to let Noah introduce himself. Before I do, though, I need to give a big shout out to this beautiful space. We're at Samsung 837 in the Meatpacking District in Manhattan. And if you have never been here, you should come here. It's amazing. So I want to shout out Samsung, Samsung Mobile USA on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Samsung US. And on Twitter, Samsung Mobile US, hashtag Team Galaxy Squad, hashtag Samsung Experience. These guys are awesome. So Samsung, love you very much. Thanks for letting us hang today.
Hashtag gratitude.
Hashtag gratitude. Amen. So give us kind of the quick lowdown so people know who we're talking to, who you are, what you do. Just give us a quick lowdown.
Who I am and what I do is all a product of who I was and where I was. So just the basic labels. I'm a drug addict. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. I haven't had a drink since 1988. I haven't smoked weed or done any drugs in 12 years last week, 2 weeks ago. I've been very sober, and I've been to hell and back about 15 times. I've attempted to commit suicide 3 times. I've had people try to throw me off buildings. I've had contracts out of my life. I've been stabbed at. I've been stabbed. I've been shot at. I've been to some incredibly, incredibly dark places in my life. And after coming out of the last of those dark places, I realized 2 things. Is that my life is meant to be in service to other people. The only way that I can survive, thrive, and to live is to be of service to other people and make that like my mantra and my credo is like help others.
Yep.
And the best way to keep my mind and my negative thoughts at bay, to attempt to do that as best I can, is through gratitude. When I count my blessings, I feel great. When I count yours, I feel fucked. I can go on Instagram, and I kept joking about this because it was like the summer, and I kept like everybody was in Mykonos, and I'm like, fuck, everybody's in Mykonos, and I want to go to Mykonos, and then I started like going, but I hate EDM music. I go to sleep at like 10 o'clock every night. Like I don't want to party all night long. I don't drink, and I really have no desire to be in Mykonos, but I want to be in Mykonos because everybody's in Mykonos.
Isn't that crazy?
You know, like it's just like the way my brain functions. It's like when I compare, and I say this over and over and over and over again. I work with clients. I'm a life coach. I'm a soul cycle instructor. I have a podcast too. I have a lot of things I'm working on in my life as well. But I say this all the time, whether it's one-on-one or working with groups. When I compare, I lose.
Yep.
Every single time. Like it's funny because on the ride over here, I was listening to your podcast.
Awesome.
And going through your Instagram. And you had the one video of you and all the guys with the 6-pack abs.
Yep.
And I immediately felt bad.
Isn't that crazy?
But I immediately like I didn't feel terrible.
Yep.
But it was like, fuck. Yeah. I'm never gonna have 6-pack abs.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna have 2-pack abs. Like I'm just gonna be happy if I can get my stomach flat again. But like just amazing. That one video, like it's seared in my brain. I could tell you the video frame by frame. Yep. The first guy does a crunch, and then you guys are all just hanging. Like I know it. It's like locked in.
Yep.
That one thing, all the beautiful things. I saw the flip, the back flip with the Freedom Tower, and all that thing. And I flipped through so many pictures, but that's the one that stuck.
Yep.
That one image stuck with me because I started comparing.
Yeah. It's at a speaking engagement it was just a speaking engagement, Mind Body Tribe. One of the things I talked about, one of my big points was comparison is the thief of joy, which is, I think, Theodore Roosevelt, right? And what we do so much is we grasp onto things that we see. It's screwed up, but it's like a way of comfort. Like it's something that I see there in front of me, so let me just latch onto that, and then I have something to complain about and whine about that I don't have. And that's an easy way out. And I think that exactly like you said, the second you start putting all your thought and intention on everybody or everything else and wishing that your stuff was another way, that's when it starts to create pain, because our lives are built on narratives, right? Like we see something, it should be X, Y, and Z way. And if your life doesn't currently match that, you're upset. So you can do one of two things. You can change your current state, right? As a Tony Robbins would say, he would say, change your current state. Take massive action, or you change your narrative. And if your narrative is staring at a 6-pack and saying like, why don't I have that? And that's your mission and you're not getting there, you're going to be freaking miserable all the time.
And the fact is, as I say that, and I just said the words, now I'm going to retract that. If I wanted to have 6-pack abs, I could.
Right.
And it's like, I look at you guys and I go, okay, so there were 6 guys hanging there. Like the thousands of hours that you guys put in
to create
having that
Yep.
physique.
Yep.
I don't have the time nor the willingness to do that. I have, and as I talked about it in class the other day in one of my soul cycle classes, I was like, we were doing crunches, and I was like, listen, I don't care if you ever have 6-pack abs. I just want you to have a strong core. Mm-hmm. I want you to have a strong core mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yep.
And spiritually. And it's like, I have probably a 4-pack of abs spiritually. I have a 6-pack of abs emotionally.
Yep.
And I have a little bit of a gut because I'm 56 years old and I haven't been able to exercise for 4 years physically. Yeah. But if I took all my time and I really was like, in the next year, I want to get 6-pack abs, I could do that. Yeah. I don't have the time, willingness, and energy to dedicate to that. Right. And it doesn't hold a priority in me. in any way, shape, or form. Would I like to wake up tomorrow with six pack abs? Sure, but I'm not going to. So it's not realistic. So when I look at it, it's the whole false narrative in my mind about that's something that I want, but it's not something I want. It's something that I admire. And I'm like, hey, you guys are great, and like you look great, and I wish I could fucking rip off my shirt every summer and like feel like, oh shit, everybody looks at me, fucking look how hot I am. Right. And especially because I work at SoulCycle, and especially because I work in the fitness industry, the standard is these guys with great abs. Yep. Like that's the thing that everybody looks at first. Yep. And I'm a guy with ab. If you're not watching this, I am 5'9" and 200 pounds. And I was 5'9", 215 pounds 45 days ago, and I just lost 15 pounds. But you know, we compete with ourselves. We are our own worst enemies.
Isn't that crazy? It's amazing. So I want to get jumping into this gratitude conversation, which all correlates with what we're talking about. I want to start with asking you, like, what does gratitude mean to you? Because the question I've gotten a lot is, how do I access more gratitude in my life? I get DMs very, very regularly saying, you always talk about living this life of gratitude. And like, how do you start doing that? And I think the first step in starting to do something or experience something is understanding what it is. What is that thing? So like, what is your definition of gratitude? It's kind of a hard question, actually, for me.
Well, gratitude is simply as I can put it, counting the things I have.
Okay.
It's what do I have?
Yeah.
What I do with my clients is because I do life coaching. We'll give all the details later on how you can get in touch with me if you want to. But I've been doing it for a long time, and I've been working with everybody from A-list celebrities, high-level athletes, to people walking out of prison and the homeless. And it's counting what I have. So an example of what I do with everybody, with almost every client I have, is one of the very first things one of the things I have them do is every morning start a gratitude list. And it can be 2 things, it can be 6 things, it can be a dozen things.
Yep.
Start focusing your mind, especially in the morning. People say, well, I did it before I went to sleep. I was like, no, I want you to start your mind out. I want you to start your day out with gratitude. I do 2 things, gratitude and meditation, the keys to a morning.
Yep.
But gratitude, you start from that place of what do I have? So when I get to the place of what I don't have, which is 6-pack abs, I then default and remember that all the things that I do have.
Right.
So one thing that I've started to do is I get up immediately in the morning, I take a piss, and I grab a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. I like iced coffee. So it's already iced, it's in my refrigerator, I pour it out, and I try to take a second, just a second, and say, man, I'm thankful, I'm grateful for this cup of coffee.
Yep.
Then I go just chug it down.
Yeah.
But just that little instant, and little practical things like before every meal, if you get your coffee from Starbucks, like before you take it off the counter, as your hand is on it, just saying, I'm grateful for this cup of coffee.
Yeah, and the challenge is that people often are like, okay, I did that, but it's a level of presence that has to be accessed in that moment of like giving thanks or being grateful. Because I know, so I went to a transformational training, super powerful experience, and one of the things was we were eating dinner one night together, and the trainer said to us, with every single bite, for the next 15 minutes that you have, every single bite, I want you to be grateful for the bite you're taking and think about where it came from. Is it something organic and picked from the floor? Did somebody pick it? Can you imagine that person going and picking it? Was it sent here from a country far away and flown here or gone across an ocean to get here? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What's the consistency? And when I ate like that, I have chills thinking about it. I remember putting it in my mouth and being like, whoa, like I've never had a string bean that tastes like this. And it wasn't a great fancy string bean. It was a string bean filled with good intention. And
I'm grateful that I showed up at this event and had this lunch, and that somebody put on this event, which gave work to the people in the kitchen and the waiters and the other people and everybody that works at this place that's working on this event, that they got to work today.
Yeah.
That they get to help their families, that they get to pay their bills, that they get to pay their rent. Like if you really I try to keep it as simple as possible to begin with, but if you really start to incorporate gratitude in your life, and it's the first, the last, and the everything.
Yep.
Gratitude is everything.
Yep.
If you have gratitude, and if you make gratitude your burning mission, it will drastically change your life. Now, I've read study after study of Tibetan monks and people who live in extreme states of gratitude and really practice gratitude, that biologically and physically they are changed.
Yeah.
Their blood pressure is lower. Their anxiety is almost non-existent. Like, gratitude is the key. I have a brief story I'll tell. I'm in AA, and in AA we always talk about attitude of gratitude. You hear it all over the place. So I had a friend many years ago, and she was a mess. She came into AA a mess. She came from a beautiful family in Beverly Hills, a lot of money in the movie business, and she ended up a crack whore on the streets of LA. Like, literally from one of the wealthiest families in Beverly Hills to a crack whore on the street of LA. Got sober, put her life together, was a talent agent, a big movie mogul, and all that sort of stuff. And on her 10-year anniversary of being sober, she had planned this trip to Nepal to meet this Buddhist monk on a mountainside. She flew to India and then climbed a mountain on yaks and with guides and came to this monastery. And it's amazing. I love this story. And she got to the monastery. It was her gift to herself for being sober for 10 years. Yep. And she was shown to her room and said, tomorrow you'll meet the master and go to a simple meal with the other monks. And everybody was quiet. She ate in silence and felt the beauty and was crying during dinner because it was so beautiful. And the next morning woke up, had breakfast, and was shown into the room with the enlightened one. And she walked in and she sat on pillows across from him, and he had the flowing robes and everything was beautiful. And there was candles and there was incense and everything was set up and it was beautiful. And he said, my child, tell me your story. And she told him everything. She unburdened herself at a level which she'd only done once before in her life as part of the steps in AA. And at the very end of it, he said, my child, what a beautiful story. It sounds like you need an attitude of gratitude. And she's like, she had gone thousands of miles and climbed a mountain and waited to hear this enlightened man say something that she heard every single day. Yep. And from here in the meatpacking district at Samsung, shout out, to a Buddhist monk in a monastery, the answer is the same: gratitude. Yep. I count what I have.
Isn't that amazing? I think so many times we often try and complicate, and the question that comes in for a lot of people is, how do I access that gratitude? How do I become more grateful?
Write a gratitude list every morning.
That's an actionable step. Even beyond that, just do it. And I know it sounds so silly, but I'm just like, Nike that shit, man. Just do it. Just think about it and say, look at this situation. I was talking, my previous guest, 25 years old, just diagnosed with stage 3 testicular cancer 3 weeks ago. And good buddy of mine, he actually posted a story today and talking about our podcast. And he was just like, he's so excited for this journey of cancer. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? Gratitude. 25. And out of nowhere, first they were telling him he's got 1 year to 2 years. Then, okay, testicular, it's curable. We can make this happen. And now he's going into chemo this afternoon again. And just has this fiery passion, has a list of 4 things that he does every day. And he's just going to do it. He's going to get it done. I committed to these 4 things. I'll find a way. And it is such an inspiring thing to hear that, but it's because he's grateful for the opportunity to go through cancer. And I asked him, I said, in our conversation, is that something that you're I'm happy I got it, but is there a level of gratitude that sits in this situation? And he's like, look, I don't want cancer. Nobody wants cancer. It's ugly. It sucks. But I'm learning a lot about myself and how capable I am. And it's just so inspiring to me that we can use gratitude as a tool.
I went, like I've said before, with drugs and alcohol has brought me to some of the lowest places you could ever imagine. I'm a convicted felon drug dealer. I've been nothing violent, just weed. So I don't want anybody to think I'm a dangerous human being roaming the streets. But I've been to some really, really, really dark places, and And I'm grateful for every minute of it because I've been to that place. I'm grateful for it because I've moved past it. Now I'm able to help others, and I'm able to, people tell me I'm in a really dark place. I go, cool. So have I. I've been there and I got out.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for everything I went through because I've turned it into a tool to connect with other people and to help them get out of that dark place. So I'm grateful for all the pain, all the suffering, everything I went through. I'm not grateful for what I put my parents through and my loved ones, but I'm grateful for what I went through, which was my own disease, because it's given me a place to teach from and to help others to heal from.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
I can't be angry. People are like, why am I an alcoholic? Why am I an alcoholic? I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I am. So what am I get? So what? Like one of my favorite things, like, so what? People are like, well, my boss is an asshole. I'm like, so what?
Yeah.
You know, like if we keep saying so what to all of our problems, then we minimize and we make our problems like really as minuscule as they are. Because they're not really that big.
Yeah, it's very rare, if ever. You can always make it as big as you want, but you could also make it as insignificant as you want.
Yeah.
And it's that so what, now what mentality. And I've seen it over and over with every level of everything with clients, whether it was life coaching stuff or it was a personal training client or in a group class. People having these problems that are people telling me that their day is ruined because they broke their nail, because they got their nails done yesterday. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, dude, come on now. Like, look at what you're letting run you right now. And just as you're letting that negative situation run you, what if you let that one positive thing that happened this morning run you? So like your cup of coffee, there was another cup of coffee for you today. What if when you sipped it, it was like so beautifully warm and it just felt right, and you took a moment to think about that, and that ran you today? And we choose what runs us and what not, what doesn't. It's really easy to stick into the negative shit.
Let me just throw this in there. I teach 14 soul cycle classes a week, at least 5 times a week. Because I'm always there before class, and I'm that guy that's like there 45 minutes before class, and the guy that's there 45 minutes after class talking to riders. And I would, at least 4 or 5 times a week, I'll have somebody walk in and go, God, I need this class. I'm having such a bad day.
Yeah.
And I every time I stop them and I go, okay, can I ask you just 3 questions? And just want to check on you. And they'll be like, sure, I'll answer 3 questions. I go, do you have food? Do you have shelter? Do you have clothing? And they'll be like, yeah, of course. I'm like, now, tell me how bad your day is. Right. Yeah. If you had food, shelter, and clothing, and you're at a soul cycle class carrying around a smartphone, and like you're in the middle of the day or even early evening, your life is so much better than like a huge majority of people in the world.
Yeah.
And there are beggars in the streets of India smiling and joyful and peaceful at the life they're living. Yeah. So like, tell me about your bad day.
It's always
you
perspective.
You might have, and you probably have had some feelings. Feelings are not facts. Mm-hmm. Feelings are not your day. You may have had a couple minutes that didn't feel good because you allowed it to upset you, and that's real. People allow their feelings to become their truth. Right. And that's when the problems happen. I do it as well. Yeah. You know, oh my God, this person sucks and they hate me and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that shit happens, but I'm not having, I don't really think I have any bad days anymore. I think that's something that I've sort of like grown past with realization of gratitude. With like, I know even if it starts to creep in, I will stop myself and go, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And you can do that all the time. And I think that people think it's a cheesy, like if you have the balls to be sitting on a microphone and discussing it, people often look at you as like, oh, he's the lucky one who figured out how to make gratitude a thing, or he's lying, or it's like, because I really think people think this about me. The question that I always get is, how do you always stay so energized? How do you always stay so positive? And I really say, how do you not? Like, how do you not? I'm in a freaking Samsung bubble right now of this amazing studio that, like, for me, how could I not? And I've had shit happen this morning that if I put my attention into the negative stuff that happened today, I would be living in a bad place right now. I'd be cranky to be here. I'd be frustrated that this other stuff happened this morning. But those things are there because they make the really amazing moments even more amazing. And I think for me, like, I struggle when people are like, how are you this? How are you so positive? I'm like, it's a choice. It's a freaking choice. You're talking to a guy right now that's been suicidal 3 times.
Tempted. Not even suicide. I've been suicidal 1,000 times.
Right.
Tempted it 3 times.
And went for it. And and then you think about that, and he's sitting here like positive and inspiring others to be in a good place. Dude, like, look at what you're doing. Wherever you are, just take a second, take a deep breath, stop. That's another thing that's huge for me is like, just stop. Whatever you're going, you get on this cycle. It's kind of like a bike. And just to stay so that you don't fall, you're trying to like ride to keep your balance. And sometimes you just got to stop the bike, put your feet down, and take a second.
Let's pause right here just for a second. If you are listening to this podcast, it means you have a smartphone or a computer.
Yep.
Just that.
Yep.
Just stop what you're doing, whatever you're doing, wherever you're walking. Just stop for a second and just realize that.
Yeah.
That you either have a computer or a smartphone. Like you have a computer or you have a computer in your pocket.
Yeah.
Computer, pocket-sized computer. Like the unbelievable gift of that. Like the gratitude, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I can text my friends. I can go on Instagram. I can listen to a podcast. I have the time to listen to a podcast. Like just start breaking out the gratitude in the minutia.
Yeah.
And I tell people to just start simply, like leave a journal or a little notepad or whatever you want to do right by your coffee maker or your coffee mug in the morning or wherever you get your coffee from. And just, or it's on the bathroom, on the toilet, wherever it is, wherever you start your day. So we're creating habits.
Yeah.
And habits beget habits. So it may start small, and you may write 3 things like, I'm grateful for my husband, I'm grateful for my wife, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for my parents, and I'm grateful I'm pooping this morning, and I'm regular. It may be the simplest, stupidest thing. And then you'll find yourself, the more you do it, and it may be the same thing on the next day because you haven't really got it yet, but just write down the 4th thing, be like, I'm grateful I did this list.
Right.
Just, it's simple steps.
Yeah.
Let's circulate back to this so this makes more sense. Were you born with 6-pack abs?
No.
How did you how many years did you work until your abs were
Dude, we could talk
the
about
12-pack?
it forever.
So it took you, but it started out with small habits, right?
Yep.
It started out like you went to the gym one day and you're like, this is something I want to do. I want to get in super great shape. And then you slowly, you didn't like do 20 sit-ups and then have 6-pack abs. It took years, but you started out with some fucking crunches or some sit-ups or something super simple.
And even deeper, just to keep going with this theme, which is really interesting, is like the thing that comes up next for us as someone watching it. And it's either you do what Noah's saying, like, okay, we're looking at the situation and stay away from the comparison and just like take on my journey and get started there. What happens next is, and I was talking to a woman in the airport last night. She goes, you're lucky with those good genes. And like immediately shifted it to like, the reason why you have this is X, Y. And I'm like, hold on. Thank you. Maybe I do have great genes. And like I committed to a healthy lifestyle. I often, in the space of gratitude, say thank you for the fact that my mom never let me play a video game ever a day in my life. And what that meant was, and she demanded that I go outside and play soccer or do something on a trampoline or like run around before I came and did my homework. Weird mindset for a mom. Usually it's get inside, do your homework, and then you can go play video games so I don't have to deal with you. My mom was saying, get outside, go play, exercise, do what you do. Then you get to come in and do your homework.
I wish I had the name, and I don't have the name, but somebody showed me an Instagram account the other day of a woman who is 74 and ripped.
Love it.
The problem is, not the problem, but the interesting thing is, she didn't start working out until she was 60.
60. I read about this
60.
woman. Yep.
And she just looked like me, a little older, more gray, and a little more and like out of shape. Mm-hmm. And at 60, she now has like triceps. She's like biceps are killing it. She didn't have good genes. She had good work ethic. Yeah. She had a desire. She had passion, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. That's the how of everything. Honesty. Where am I really? Yep. What am I really working with? Open-mindedness, I'm open to like change.
Yep.
And willingness, am I willing to do the work that it takes to get to where I want to be?
Absolutely.
Am I honest enough? Do I really, do I have will I really do this?
Yeah.
So that's your how in things. If you're honest and open-minded and willingness, you can do anything. Not anything in the major sense of I can be president. Maybe you could. I don't know. These days, anybody can be president, apparently. Sorry if I offended any listener, but it apparently seems just up for grabs. 45 people running on the Democratic side. Okay, we won't get into politics, but you can bring yourself to levels that you've never thought about and change things that you thought were unchangeable in your life through honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness.
Yeah. And they all are set in that gratitude space.
Oh, every single one of them.
Absolutely. Like if you access those, gratitude is in there. So again, because one of my missions on this podcast today was to answer the people who keep asking me that question. How do you live a gratitude-filled lifestyle? What does that mean? What does that look like? Like that question for me, it's not a quick answer, but the tasks are quick. For me, the
Simple.
5-minute journal.
They're simple.
I got it as a gift, 5-minute journal. It sits by my bed every day. I've been doing it for 3 weeks. It asks me, it's very simple. In the morning, it has a little quote, which is always cool. And then it's 3 things you're grateful for. I will not waver from this. I drank too much this weekend and was at a Michelob Ultra event, which was super fun. And I slept in one morning and forgot to do it. Other than that, I will not waver from it.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
This is not about perfection.
Yep.
There is no state of perfection.
Yeah. What's interesting is the next morning that I did it, it asked me what was I grateful for. I wrote, I'm grateful that I missed a day. Because what it did was remind me how important it is. Because I felt the difference. So again, how do we see things? What is your perspective telling you? If you live in a space of I'm always trying to prove myself right about life sucking, life will always suck. Isn't that? It's just the truth.
It's not even like I'm trying to prove myself right that life sucks. As soon as my mind goes to that place, circumstances and energy, and I'm a big believer in the energy of the world because we are made of electricity. I talk about this all the time. Our hearts beat because of an electrical spark in our hearts. That's not hippy-dippy bullshit. That's science. Mm-hmm. So if there's electricity inside of us, when I create the energy of God, I'm in the worst place. It starts to compound because we attract what we put out. I always use this sort of reminder with a lot of people I talk to of when you were younger and you were in kindergarten or elementary school and they gave you magnets for the first time and you went the magnets and they clapped together and you're like, oh, that's super cool.
So cool.
And they were like, then turn the magnets around. And you try to turn around, and if you're like me, a knucklehead, you tried like hell over and over and over to push them together because they wouldn't go together, but I was stubborn. But so if we know that we're made of electricity, we know that we're magnetic, we know this is science. We know that we are magnetic. Human beings are magnetic. So when somebody comes into your life and you're like, oh, that person sucks, it's not that they suck or that you're so great. It's that you're the magnets turned the other way. Their energy just doesn't align with you. Yeah. And when you meet somebody whose energy aligns with you, like I did with you, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to know this dude for a while, and I'm going to get something from him. So we attract people that match our magnetic resonance, our frequency. Yeah. And we control, our minds control our magnetic frequency. So if I'm starting to think I suck, life will start to suck, and I'll start focusing on all the places all the things that I'm missing, all the things I don't have, and it will begin to suck. Yep. And you can then genuinely say, yeah, my life sucks because you've created that.
Yeah. And if your mind controls your magnetic frequency, which is what you just said, I believe.
Yes.
If that's the case, then it can change, right? So your thoughts can adjust your magnetic energy. For example, for me, that I can think of right away, there's a person at work that I've been closely working with for the past year and drives me crazy. The dude drives me crazy. He's one of those people that just loves to watch you burn type of guy. And it's been so interesting because my mom always taught me and my dad always taught me, do the right thing. Like, just no matter what, kill him with kindness is the term that she always used. Kill him with kindness, right? So that was my mission for the past year. Kill him with kindness, kill him with kindness. And it wasn't working. It was actually getting worse for whatever reason. And I just trusted that it wasn't like I stopped trying to put the energy on it. And it wasn't like a walk away, I don't need you in my life, like get you out of here. It was just, I'm going to serve my space with such positive energy that like he's either going to do the opposite and like he'll be the south and I'll be the south and he'll just like zoom, go the opposite way, or I will change his thoughts, mind, and perspective and change his energy, and we'll start to connect. And I'm telling you, a little over a year later, things are starting to shift for the first time, which is blowing my mind after a year. And that's small in the grand scheme of things. For a lot of us, we might be trying to change things that could take 20 years, 30 years, and that's okay. Trust that if you're doing the right thing, if you're living in your truest self, it'll start to adjust. The energy will be created.
About 8 years ago, I was working in a rehab in LA, and they hired this guy to come in and run the rehab, and then he had to step away for some medical work, and then his wife ended up coming in to run the rehab. And day one, there was just something about her. She did not like me, I did not like her. And I'd be like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And she'd be like, she was on my ass for every little thing, every little detail, and I just felt like it was all personal. I didn't like at any point consider that her husband was dealing with a severe medical issue and was in pain, and that she had not only had to take over her husband's job, but deal with the fact that her husband was going through that. That never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It was, she sucks, I'm awesome, let's keep it going now. Can't wait till she fucking leaves. And I went to a great teacher of mine, and he said something, then of course, that you just said. I was like, I got a problem. He goes, oh, you got a kindness test. And I was like, what do you mean a kindness test? He goes, you got to kill her with kindness.
Yeah.
He goes, you have a kindness test. And I was like, a kindness test? Like, how kind? He's like, how kind can you be? You got to kill her with kindness. Short version of the story is yesterday I was texting her because it was her birthday the day before, and I was like, I'm going to come see you in L.A. And she's like, literally one of the people that I love the most in my life, and I divine incredible inspiration from her. And she's a life coach, and she's somebody that'll be on this podcast someday if you do, and somebody from L.A. But she's an incredible human being, and her husband's an incredible human being, and they're two people that I love. And it's like, it wasn't me, and it wasn't them. It wasn't that I sucked so bad, or that they sucked so bad, or I was so wrong and they were so wrong, or I was so right and they were so wrong. It was just shifting my mind. Our thoughts become things.
Yeah. There's so much in that story, but one big part of it that I heard is taking responsibility. You chose to shift your thought process, which immediately shifted the situation. And the other thing that I'm hearing is there's so much focus on what everyone else is doing wrong, or how she's nasty, or she's supposed to be a certain way. Again, your narrative says for someone to be nice, they need to do X, Y, and Z. And it's the second that you release that, and this is huge if you're trying to access more gratitude in your life. I think that one big play in that is immediately think of the other person. Always get out of your own head. Because in your own head, the only place where the negative, the scary, fear, self-limiting beliefs, they only exist in your head. They don't exist in the real world. They only exist within you. So if you're going to stay in that house and it's just going to be there, you will feel oh my gosh, it's my favorite quote of all time. A coach of mine one time said to me, when in doubt, focus out. When all your shit's building up, when you're scared, when you don't know what to do, when you're angry, when you're frustrated, focus out. So for example, in this situation with Noah, the moment that your teacher told you, like, you got a kindness opportunity, your thing went from, this is my problem, I've been hated by this woman, she's doing this,
poor
this.
me.
Poor me.
The victim.
Yep, victim mentality. And the second you became the victor over the victim and decided, I'm going to kill this person with kindness, I'm going to take responsibility, I don't know what this person's going through, you stepped out of that, empowerment for you and for her just was created, and this connection was created. It's such a beautiful story. There's so much in there.
I said something yesterday. I was sitting at lunch with somebody who I greatly admire, and we have these Sunday lunches after my class, after my 12 o'clock class. We always sit and we talk, and she's one of my dearest friends. And I blurted it out. I said, I'm not a victim of my thoughts. I'm I'm not a victim of my thoughts. And it's like I realize how often I and many others have thoughts that we think are real. And another shorter version, there's an old version that was taught to me years ago, was feelings aren't facts.
Yeah.
That's not truth. Just because I feel some way, it doesn't mean it's a fact.
Yeah.
The L train is not out to get me.
Yep.
My Uber driver nearly drove me into the tunnel heading New Jersey today and like bailed at the last second. And I was quiet and I let him work through it, and then he went the wrong way, then he went the wrong way again, and I still got here on time.
Yep.
I have been the guy that's been like, oh my God, I can't believe he's taking this long to drive. Oh my God. But like, as soon as I start thinking that, I get frustrated, I get angry. It's like, we are so powerful in both finding the positive and negative in our lives that we underestimate our superhero strength of our mind.
Isn't that crazy?
And how much we can accomplish.
Amen.
Now, I am not as energetic as you.
Yeah.
I am as passionate as you.
Amen.
To help others.
Yep.
I can't, I'm old. I'm not built to have as much energy. I had that much energy when I was doing coke in the 70s and the 80s. Bouncing around New York City.
I am not doing coke on a regular basis.
On the unstoppable force that I was.
Forever.
And I can be an unstoppable force now. I just move a little slower.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, I see that in you, and I love that in you, and it inspires me and it moves me. So I attach myself to you and your energy to pull me along and bring me along on things like this. And then on my things, you know, when I do a talk and I'm sitting and my demeanor is much more quiet, but it doesn't mean that you and I don't connect. We connect because our magnets match.
And isn't it amazing that like, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I mean this in the truest sense. I watched that talk, and the first thing that came to mind was when I saw you at the loft was I get to access a little more composure and like controlled energy and focus on like allowing wisdom to run me a little bit sometimes rather than just that high energy stuff. So it's amazing that we see the love and beauty in each other and we serve each other. Yeah. That dish of this is what I need, this is what I get to have, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that is so cool, but that only comes from this space of you could, this is where we are totally the same. You could be like, he's got that energy. He's got that six pack. Why not me? Why? Like now I'm almost 60. Screw my life. I'll never have that energy. You could do that shit and you don't. Just like I could say, I'm not old enough to be wise. I'm not smart. I haven't had enough life experience. I haven't gone through 3 bouts of trying to commit suicide and been an alcoholic and gone through all that. I haven't done that. What makes me have the right to get on a microphone and talk to people about living a life of gratitude? What the fuck am I doing here? I could do that too, but I choose not to because I know within myself it's not a comparison game. It's that I am capable of serving someone else in whatever that way looks like. You know what I'm saying?
I wanna throw something back to. I didn't hit the cough button. I just coughed.
We have cough buttons. It's so cool. Buttons. It's almost fun to hit them.
But I want to throw it back to something. I was listening to your podcast on the way over here because I wanted to hear how you did it. You know, I mean, if you're going to go do somebody's podcast, you should listen to it.
Right.
I've had so many people on my podcast who I'm like, did you listen to the podcast? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, how do you know what I'm going to do? Like, we have to prepare for life. That's the way. It's distraction. But I was listening to your conversation with Jess Glazer, and I want to give a huge shout out. She sounds incredible and amazing and all that. Amazing. And you guys were talking about showing up.
Yep.
About showing up for the gym and showing up for things. And it was like showing up for the gym, being available, showing up for the gym, showing up to work out, just showing up. And on the spiritual and emotional side of that, not on the physical side of it, I call it being available.
Love it.
So, well, you say, how can I possibly be? Because I haven't done all this.
Yep.
How could I possibly be? Well, the only way you can be is to make yourself available. Mm. And by doing this podcast, you're making yourself available. By taking actions to help others, you're making yourself available. Right. The more I make myself available to help and to serve and to, with intention, make myself available to help other people, then we find the wisdom comes, the knowledge comes, the words come. They come intuitively because you've made yourself available for that. And I talk about this a lot when I teach it in my work, and that I believe intentions are great.
Yeah.
An intention without action is just a good idea.
That's all it is. Yeah.
That's all it is.
I agree.
You have to follow through on the action. So I find myself a lot of times going, people will be like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, good. I'm like, how are you doing today? That's making myself available. That's asking a question. And if they go, I'm good, and then going like, well, why aren't you great? Like following up.
Yeah.
Making yourself more available to be a listener.
Yep.
Rather than a speaker. I find much more people want to be heard
Totally.
than even seen. Like they love putting pictures on Instagram. The most vocal people on Instagram and the most picturesque people on Instagram everybody wants to be heard.
Yeah.
They want to be seen, but they want to be heard.
Yeah.
In this day and age of everything's a photograph, everything's a video, everything's an image or a brand, am I hearing you?
Yeah.
Another little trick, and I'll throw this out there. If you ask somebody how they're doing, while they're talking to you, watch their lips.
Yeah.
When anybody's talking to you, watch their lips. When I watch somebody's lips as they speak, I'm not formulating my reply.
Interesting.
If I really focus on somebody's lips when they're speaking,
Yeah.
it's a trick I learned from a Buddhist monk years ago. Buddhists have all the answers. I'm Buddhist adjacent. I won't say I'm knowledgeable enough to say that I'm a Buddhist, but it's the one thing that resonates the most to me. But watching somebody's lips when they're speaking,
Yep.
you are not thinking about your reply.
Isn't that the truth? And when it comes to connection with someone, when it comes to creating community or creating energy with somebody, the second you're trying to give a reply already, you've lost the connection because you're not caring about what the person is saying. Not in a mean way. Like I might care about you and what you're saying, but you're not if you're looking to, it's a looking good conversation, right? I just want to look good. So I'm already formulating the next thing I'm going to say so that I look good. And it doesn't matter what Noah says. And that's what for me, and it's beautiful that you're bringing this up, that's what this podcast stands for. What I said to Noah when we started and what I say to everybody before this is, as much as Noah's got one of the craziest stories ever. Like if you want to learn about him, and we'll dive into like talking about his podcast so that you can go check his out. Is it live yet?
It's called it's been live. Yeah, we have like 150,000 unique downloads.
So sick.
But it's called I'm Here to Help. It's on iTunes and Stitcher, and the first 3 episodes are my life story. So if you want to just like have something to do in between Nick's podcasts,
Bingo.
Listen to the first 3 episodes. And then
So
come
like
back to this.
because your story is amazing and it's important and I think you give people so much hope with your story. And one of the things I said to him was your story is sick. And what we're doing here today is a conversation. It's not an interview, right? Because I think what happens is, and there's a space for like interviews. There are plenty of podcasts that are interviews. It's awesome. What I love about this podcast is it's a challenge for me, selfishly, to have beautiful conversation. You won't hear me doing like list of questions. It never happens because what brings me joy and energy in this podcast is conversing like we're doing right now, where we're like bouncing off ideas like, oh yeah, I had this story, or this reminds me of, or I love the way you said that, like that to me is what creates energy. And what's going on right now, this is what people vibe off of. And this is my personal opinion, of course, but this is what people love, is to hear true, authentic thoughts that come from just being in the space and being in the room together and having that conversation. You know what I mean? I think it's so awesome.
Being available.
Being available.
There
it is.
Making ourselves available to help others. If 2 people listen to this, and if 500 people listen to it and 2 go, wow, and they wake up tomorrow morning and they start doing gratitude lists and they make themselves available to like help others, then we win.
Yeah.
And we've won already by not thinking about ourselves for this, what it's going to be an hour, by talking about how can we help other people.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is so people I think get scared to do that. And what I mean by that is they think, I won't have anything to say if I don't think about what I should say next. So let me, and this is a superpower of mine that I know it is of yours because I'm watching you do it. I don't care to try and look good with a statement I'm about to make, because I'm confident that whatever I say in response to you, if I'm fully present, will be way more powerful than what I could have made up on my own. I really believe that. Like, if I'm with you in the moment and I'm hearing what you're saying, and then the second you say whatever you finish saying, and I go with that moment and I take a deep breath and I'm present to it, and I formulate what is coming up for me, that's what creates authenticity, right? And authenticity, it's the most, oh my God, it makes me want to throw up using the word now, because I went to this event this weekend and there was a discussion on like social media strategy, right? And one of the things that always comes up is authenticity. How do you be more authentic on Instagram?
Which
Blah,
is
blah, blah.
paradox.
It's exactly. So this one
oxymoron.
kid was trying to ask this guy, Charlie, who's a Nike athlete, lost 150 pounds in a year, like crazy story. And he started this wave of Nike athletes who aren't pro athletes. They're just people. And he created that. And one of the things he said, this kid was trying to ask a question like, how essentially do you sell authenticity? Like, how do you sell it on your Instagram? Because I want people to buy in. And he stopped him. He's like, you're having trouble asking this question, because authenticity is not a marketing strategy. And when he said that, I was like, let's go. It was so awesome.
Fucking true.
It's not a marketing strategy. The second you're trying to sell the authentic you lose. You're no longer authentic. You're doing it with another intention in mind, not just to be you. And that is what I experienced from you so greatly. And I'm so appreciative to be sitting here with you and hear you be just you're never anything different. We've been in the same room 4 or 5 times, and every single time, Noah is the same fucking Noah every time. Every time. And it's so inspiring.
You know what drives me absolutely bananas, and it shouldn't drive me bananas, but it does, because I think because I'm sort of now on the Instagram. I just call it the Instagram. On Instagram, I'm the old man yelling, "Get off my lawn!"
Yeah.
and I see all the and then I'm also leaning out my window and I'm seeing all the kids making all the mistakes that I made, and I just want to go like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that.
You don't
have to do that. Don't. You're wrong. So I have a couple of people that I know and are part of my life. Not friends, but part of my life, and I know them on a personal level because, however, and the person they are or that they portray on Instagram is so far removed from the person they truly are that it's so painful to watch for me when they post like, oh my God, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's like posting fucking namaste and like all this like incredible quotes from all these people and not living any of it.
Man.
I've tried to recently, I looked back and I was like, listen, I want to have 10,000 followers. You're really close, and if anybody knows anybody, they should follow and they should tag
dude.
Nick so we can get to Nick so he can get the swipe up thing.
I need swipe up.
I need swipe up. You're close enough. You're gonna get it in a second. But the point being is that I looked back and saw what people liked on my Instagram, not because of what they liked. Like I got a bunch of likes. Like I want to generate likes. What connected with people.
Yeah.
Was just me talking. It was like I put up a quote or like even a quote in like in a fancy like word like with cool font and stuff like that, and it didn't get a lot of likes. And I don't care about the likes or the viewership or where the I can't remember the word, the connectorship or whatever it is.
Impression,
engagement. That's what it is. I care about the engagement because if somebody engages and watches the video, that means it's making a difference.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about how many likes or how many followers I have. I'd like to have 10,000. I don't really care. I'm just here for the people I have. Yep. And with that opportunity, I'm going to make myself available to be my authentic self. So I just record myself and I put it up. It's usually an IGTV, and I put up a little preview on Instagram,
yep.
And that's it. And I just talk about what's going on with me, yep. And as being as honest as I can. What's really bugging me. Last week I put up one where I was standing out in the street and this jogger came by and I was standing outside. He slammed into me, knocked me into a street sign, dropped my phone, And my instinct, because of old Noah, who still lives in my mind, was to grab my phone, and he's jogging, and I can run, even at my age, I can have a bad knee, I can run faster than he's jogging, and to go follow him and at least give, at the very minimum, give him a fucking piece of my mind, and to possibly kick the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And I put that up because that's my truth. That's what went through my head. In that minute, in that like second after he hit me, and I was screaming out like, fuck you, down the street, which I did scream out, but I didn't chase him and I didn't beat his ass. That's progress.
Yeah.
And I was really real about that.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just that. So that's what I've been focusing on, is just being my authentic self at its core, being vulnerable, being available, being here, being present, and being accountable, personally accountable for who I am, and being real about that, so other people feel like it's okay to be real about themselves.
And if that's your mission, and what I love is how authentic that is like, it's truly just honestly you. And what I love, if you go to Noah's Instagram, the videos, literally it's him with the camera right in front of his face, and it's just, he's just talking. And it's like nothing pretty, nothing fancy. It's fucking raw material. And I'll be honest with you, it's not going to get the most likes in the beginning. People won't be like, wow, go look at how pretty that page is. And who gives a shit? What you'll get is 100 authentic followers, people who are like, I need this. This is special. And the thing about the line of work that we're in, inspiring, motivating, connecting, creating community, helping,
serving,
that's absolutely spot on. Those are like the two that
it's
are
all
the
service.
biggest. It's all service.
It's all service.
In a service space, it's not, how do I say this? Like, it's not trendy in that if you go to someone's cool page with like dope workouts or really sexy pictures, that's the egoistic mind wanting something right away. Like, I follow a lot of really smoking hot girls on Instagram. Why? Because they are an immediate gratification thing. Like, whoa, she's beautiful. Let me double tap that. And like, they're just taking pictures in bikinis of their butts, and that's it. And like, they're getting
somebody else is taking their picture.
Exactly. Of these massive followings.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to take like bikini pics. Have I used it? And I'm straight up about this. Have I used the 6-pack game as a way to get people onto my page? 100%. And it's something I'm really proud of. I worked really hard for the physique that I have. But if you go to my page and you actually look at what's going on, if you look at the caption, if you listen to the videos, if you see the recordings, it's all me, as authentic as I can freaking get. And that's something I admire about your page. It's not about being cute. It's about a willingness to open up and be authentic. And that may be a long process, but long ball, doing it the right way, I'm all about that.
And I don't want to go back and reiterate something that I sort of like overshadowed, is that when I was going through your page, the one that brought up the most emotions was the one about the 6-pack abs. Mm-hmm. The one I connected to the most was you doing the flips and talking about being free and the freedom that we have in our lives, and the freedom and the joy. You were doing a flip with the Freedom Tower, and I read the whole thing, and I read a bunch of them, and I read, I unfortunately, for some god unknown reason, I wasn't following you until this morning. Until I was like, why am I not following that?
That's crazy.
It was so weird. So I am now. So I've got some more scrolling to do. Don't be weirded out if you see some likes from like 2 years ago. But it was like, that's the one that resonated with me. It was like that freedom, that I live in freedom now, that that I choose when I am angry and disappointed and sad and frustrated and I feel stuck and I feel in a bad mood or I'm having a bad day. I realize that the freedom that I have now through the gifts I've been given, but the people who've taught me, that I have the freedom to change that in a second.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
I love second.
Oh, it's awesome. I know we're running low on time, and I just want to keep talking for hours. So what I want to do is give you space and time to finish just how I finish all my podcasts, which is a let's go moment. And what that means for me is someone's listening, you made it this far, thank you, I love you for being here and taking in all these nuggets that Noah's offering. If there was something you could leave the audience with, the listener with, that makes them just want to stand up and be like, let's go. I'm ready to take on life. I'm ready to take on these moments, this challenge, the adversity. What is one little nugget of wisdom or mindset that you can offer?
I like stories.
Okay.
So after surviving drug addiction and everything that numerous times over. I had gotten into service by working in a rehab. I was working in a high-end rehab in Los Angeles, and I was dealing with some really high-end people, and I got lost in service, which you and I have talked about. And what happened is there's something when you're working in a therapeutic community as a counselor and a case manager where you redirect clients. So the redirection combined of, if you're sitting outside and you're miserable, I'd be like, let's go inside and get something to eat. Or let's go outside and have a cigarette. So I was redirecting. When you can physically pick somebody up out of the area they are and move them to a different location, it quite often changes their mood and their behavior.
Yeah.
So by doing that for about 2 years and working there 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, I ended up in some horrible habits. I was sober, but I was 300 pounds and about to die and smoking 4-pack cigarettes a day. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, I have some great news for you. You're not going to feel a thing. And I said, what's that? And he goes, am I getting a shot? And he was like, no, you're not going to feel a thing. You're going to have a heart attack. You're about to have a heart attack so massive. You're not going to grab your arm. You're not going to grab your chest. You're not going to feel any pain. You're going to be dead before you hit the ground. And he looked at me and he said, maybe the last time I see you, so it's been nice knowing you, and I love you, and I care about you. And I was like, I walked into the doctor's office. I was like, well, fuck him. I'm lived forever. I've lived through everything, blah, 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 blah. And so through a crazy set of circumstances, I was going up an escalator about 4 days later, and it was the opening. It was the very first hour that Soul Cycle opened in West Hollywood. And I had been tangentially involved with opening Soul Cycle because I was friends with the very first instructor, and I had sent her to New York, and she had helped up Soul Cycle, so I knew what they were. And I walked in my size 4X t-shirt and my huge, I was so heavy, I couldn't tie my own shoes. Every pair of shoes I owned were slip-on. I would buy Nike SBs because they had an elastic band. And I'm trying to make a long story short. And what happened was I walked in and I asked for the owners. They were like, oh my God, you're Noah. They called me Papa. And I was like, thank you so much for sending this person to us. We started our company. It's great. Are you going to ride today? And I was like, sure. So I was like, sign me up for that 3 o'clock class. So it gave me time to go home, get changed, and come back. And I picked a bike by a door that was the front row bike in a corner. And I picked that bike because I figured when I died on the bike, it would be easy for them to take my body out of the room without interrupting the class. As if they were just going to like pause class for a minute, carry the dead body out, and then continue.
Yep.
And I got on that bike, and about halfway through class, and I was riding hard, and I was dripping sweat, and I could barely keep up. And I was like, hold on a second. Am I going to fucking die from being fat? I've survived every imaginable battle possible.
Yep.
I'm be fucking damned if I'm going to die from eating too many bacon, egg McMuffins.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to die trying. So I started riding really hard. And I came back twice the next day, and I came back over and over and over again. And it was just that mindset of like, instead of surrendering and being like, I'm a fat guy and that's all I am, and joking about it and covering my face in pictures, I changed my mind to, I'm going to fight. Yeah. I'm going to take the action. I'm going to continue to take action. I lost 100 pounds in a little over 90 days. And about 30 days after that, they asked me to come to New York and become a Soul Cycle instructor. It was like to go from, you're going to die from a heart attack, to, do you want to be a fitness instructor in 100 plus days is insane.
It's insane.
But it shows you that when anyone listening anywhere, when you put your mind to anything, when you make a decision and then you follow it through with consistent action, you can change anything in your life. It's not going to look the way you think it's going to look. It's going to be better. I could never have dreamed up being able to come home to New York, be with my parents, be with my friends, find the love of my life. All these things all led from me deciding to not die.
Yep. And it's amazing. My last episode, how we finished, was talking about trust and exactly what you just said, which was, I could have never, ever written it like this. The universe gave you something you couldn't imagine being the way that it is. Like, and you're trusting and like, this is my next step. Your willingness to make a decision and go. That's the stuff, guys, that I think just totally changes the game. We live in the fear of what if. I'm nervous of, I couldn't. But the second you just say, fuck it, I'm doing it, everything shifts. And like hearing that story, I mean, talk about a way to finish. I think that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it might be big in your eyes, small in your eyes, really impactful, totally insignificant. Doesn't matter. If you're ready to shift it, make the decision and just go. Just go. Because you're going to keep pushing it off until the clock ticks at the final tick, and that's it. So, shit, man. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Nick. First of many conversations.
Absolutely. Where can we find you? How can we get in touch with you?
Noah Shaw, NOASHAW 26 on Instagram. Noah Shaw at mac.com, mac.com. I'm here to help podcasts. Facebook, Noah Shaw. Give you my phone number if you wanted it. If you call me, if you text me, if you DM me, I'll text you back.
He's that type of guy.
I'm not shy, and I'm here to help. I'm always available to anybody worldwide.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for being a
so
part
much.
of this.
All
You're
right,
the man.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to many more beautiful conversations with you guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, I implore you to please, I don't get anything from this other than the incredible feelings that I get when it ends. So I request that you give it to somebody that you think it could support and that it would be meaningful for. That's all I request. Rate, subscribe, share. That's it. Because in order to keep this going, and you know the logistics of that's how life works, I want to build this thing. The stars count, all those comments count, and having other people hear it, it's huge. So you might save someone's life today by passing this on. I really believe that. So thank you for listening, and I will see you all on the next podcast episode.
Peace.
Peace. Beautiful. Yo, fam, I want to acknowledge you today for taking leaps and bounds towards a more epic life. Your support and attention is so greatly appreciated, and I never take it for granted. Thank you so much for listening. I would love if you would continue to be a part of the Nick Pags Fit fam, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.